Continuing with day 4, part 2, the third revision, simply to make some, to give some background. So far we have solved day 4. Once it was with ChatGPT and a little bit from Bing. However, I wasn't satisfied with the solution because it involved me doing a lot of stuff and were fixing chunks of the code myself and here and there asking Bing. After that, I tried to approach the problem a little bit differently, and when I'm saying approach the problem differently, I mean I changed my prompt structure. As if you've been watching my videos, in each video I'm collecting prompts that I gave to ChatGPT Bing, adding some answers and so on to compare. And the first strategy that I was doing was to simply for every following task for a given day, the second part I was chunking up the first part as a separate question. After that I was trying to was giving the instructions what I wanted to get, and after that I was providing to ChatGPT the answer that I came up with using ChatGPT, Bing, and my own abilities. And after that, simply giving as a question the second part of the question and asking to adjust the code for this one and continuing with prompting and so on. And here you can see in codes that I provide and so on. That was my first attempt. At the end we end up solving the problem. However, I was interested if my prompt is, so to say, optimal, and I decide to change a little bit the strategy. And when I'm asking for the second day, instead of giving the first day, the solution of the first day, and after that as a following up question the second day, I thought might be a good idea simply to blow up the whole thing, including the answer from the first day, and asking to write me a program and so on. Here you can see the program. However, I needed to go back and forward, needed to fix some stuff and so on when I continue with that, but at the end I was able to solve the problem. Then I decide, okay, let's iterate a little bit more on this prompt and make another video that I'm making a revision of the given task. This time I tried again. I have the whole blob of the text, but in my instructions this time I added certain specific parts that are from the task, like the ignore diagonals when you are counting, etc., to see if that will improve the output. It didn't seem so. After that I went to another revision in which I decided even to have this done by asking the same thing, but this time in Python. My idea was very simple, as you can as I read from the OpenAI API for Code Da Vinci, and even in their GPT model, they're mentioning that their model is the most capable in Python, and I decided to approach the problem with pasting the first part and the second part of the problem and asking for solution in Python to see if that will improve. As my final goal was, once I have working solution in Python, simply to ask ChatGPT or trying with tricks to ask Bing to translate that to working program in Go. As if you don't know, my series are in Go. That was my strategy. However, the Python code suffers from exactly the same problems that the the Go program had, although had the benefit that was more concise and that allow us to easily iterate and to asking Bing for solutions and so on in more concise way. However, at the end of the day, it did not work. I needed to go through back and forward using a little bit Bing and so on. However, at a certain point I gave up. Not that the problem and the solution weren't resolvable, but because I already did that twice and so on, I wasn't interested whatsoever. Can we solve the problem with a little bit help from me and so on? And at the end of the day, I'm pretty sure that every person can find advent of code solutions online, very nice YouTube channels that are explaining the algorithms, giving you much better idea of how to approach the problem, why is that solution, is very detailed explanation and so on. My goal is by no means to do something like that. If you want really to learn how to solve efficiently advent of code, that's the worst video that you might watch. It's here it's probably how to waste a lot of time of debugging AI written code. But if you're interested to see what kind of technique might work or might not work with ChatGPT, and you want to see that done in real time for problems that usually I don't know, that's the right place for you. To simply recap what was the task, and after that I will talk about my last idea for revision, because that was description for what I've already done, and now these videos are available in my YouTube channel if you want to see in more details how I try in Python, how I tried to have it with a different structure of the questions and so on. And all that said, the problem is we're in that's day 4, part 2. That's the most important part that we want to solve part 2, because very often part 1 is, so to say, easier, and part 2 usually have some assumption that are provoke you to change your code in with a little bits, but very tricky bits, which make the solutions to be not simply adding one check and so on. For example, here what we are trying to do is we're in a submarine, we are under the water 1.5 kilometers under the water, and we are playing bingo. In our bingo game, we are getting input as how we have first line that are all the bingo numbers in the order that they've been drawn. And after that we have all the boards, and they're separated by empty line. Our first task is simply to find the board that wins at first by going number by number. When we draw 7, we go through the board, mark all of them, all of the positions of 7s in the board, and after marking each 7, we're checking, okay, do we have a complete row or the complete column? If so, that's the winning board. We're stopping the program and calculating the the score of the board for the given number, and there are rules how to calculate the score. Is finding the sum of our unmarked numbers, and after that we need to multiply the sum of our unmarked numbers on that board by the given number with which the board became winning board. That's the first part. In our case, ChatGPT was able more or less to solve that alone with a little bit help from me, but not something that was very confusing to do and so on. Was a little bit of adjustment. However, in the second part, we need to find the board which wins last and calculate the score for this board for the number for which wins. However, here ChatGPT and Bing to some extent had the problem that was playing the game to the end and trying to find the board that was, for example, in one of the solutions, the board that was lastly evaluated full and so on. It wasn't stopping the first time when all of the boards win at least once, and things like that, and was actually extremely hard to accommodate this kind of knowledge to solve the task. That's what we've been doing so far, like a recap, and what we're planning to do in this video is to simply try with ChatGPT and with Bing, with both, to get a summary of the task. So to say, we don't want anymore to have all this text that it's from different parts and so on. We want to get some description of the program that it's minimized version of the original description. As the purpose of that is simply to see, okay, can we specify our input better and better and start adjusting our input bits by bits to take in account all of these conditions simply and remove not needed information. And is that going really to improve the quality of the program that we're getting from ChatGPT and Bing? That's the purpose of this video, and again we will go through that. Firstly, the first part is, let's see how big is the first part of the input. I'm checking this stuff is because, as I mentioned in many previous videos, for example, this base is already too big for Bing, because Bing has restriction of 2000 characters. ChatGPT had theoretical restriction of input together with the output to 4000 tokens. That was the reason that we use in my third attempt Python, simply because of Go is to verbose language. Okay, let's I think we can go without having these visual boards, because at the end of the day the language model couldn't see that. I will still keep the board that's the input, because in my opinion it's important. And let's see, we're almost there. What we can do, maybe I want to play bingo. Let's not have this. What you can see, okay, let's keep it like that. That will be our first input for because most of the task is contained in the most of the task description is contained in the first part. We will try to do the second part more or less as one second, let me open here the second part. Once we have a good description of the first part, we would like to simply adjust the points to accommodate for the second part of the challenge, and simply change that probably again trying that with ChatGPT and Bing and see if it's work. Yeah, that's the plan for today. Let me copy the copy path, copy the whole thing, and have our revision 4. Hopefully more successful the previous. As you can see here, we have empty Go file because we never get to that point. And here I like to have this input file that how you do comments. All of the files are simply my specific input for advent of code. The test input, which is the snippet which we have up here, and our file with prompts. So far that's the question. Okay, in our case, let me delete all of this stuff that we get. We would ask, could you summarize for me the following task? That's our question. Instructions. Please give me Python program, we do it in Python. Okay, let's see what ChatGPT would give us with such a input. Okay, it's doing in the program. At the same time, what are the steps? Okay, let's do that. Prompt 1. I guess this prompt 1, and we're getting as an answer. As always, we want to have more information of what we get as an answer, because later on we might try to use this output to do that with and here we have that in Python, as we have really choice. Again, our final goal it stays to have working program in Go, but we want to see if we do this approach. Okay, now we have read the input data. The input consists of a list of 26 integers followed by 3 steps of okay. In our case, let's a little bit work with ChatGPT firstly to see if our second prompt, but the info here. Read in the input data. The input consists of a list of integers followed by. In this case, we want not to have hard-coded 26 integers followed by 3 sets, because the number of integers could vary. I think it's yeah. Here you can see that it's definitely not. That's our final input, and here are the boards. They're much bigger. The first thing is, and already here you can see have hard-coded 3 and so on, has all of these typical mistakes in which it's not doing the abstraction. But let's add a little bit of correction. Prompt 2 error description does not match exactly my requirement. By thing. the first line, in the first line of n assume how many bingo. Okay, that's the first thing that we want to correct. The second, you need to keep track of all numbers on the board. You can create a set of all numbers by iterating over each board. That seems fun. Draw a number and mark the board. The submarine you need to simulate this in iterating over the draw, checking if they appears on any of the boards and marking them if they do. Okay, check for a winning board after each number is drawn. You need to check if any of the boards have won. To do this, you can iterate over each board and check if any row or column has its number marked. You can use list of comprehension to do that. If a board wins, you need to calculate its score. To do this, you first need to find the sum of all unmarked numbers on the board. You can do this by iterating over each number of the board, checking if it is in the set of marked numbers. If it is not, add it to the running total. Then you need to multiply this sum by the given number. Okay, everything else seems about right. That's our input. Second, please adjust the program. No, I don't want the program because I want to adjust the description. Let's see if we'll be able to do that. And we have our answer. Okay. Python mapping that's the first one. I'm not sure that this parsing mapping input string strip split. Oops. Looks kind of right and kind of very hard, because this part in which intentionally I like the bent of code for one thing, that if you look at the input, actually the input have these nasty things in which have like a leading space, and not only after that on the splitting has these two space, and most of the cases is 1 when it's 2 digit number and so on. And it's meant to be visually appealing, but actually for any kind of program, that's actually, yeah, it's horrific. It shouldn't be done like that. I mean, but that's the purpose of the problem, simply to give you actually a program that input that it's a little bit challenging, and so far it seems like and this kind of algorithms have extremely hard time to deal with this type of problems. Okay, let's that's actually not where I should put this one. Let me cut this and put it here, and okay, that's our input. Let's look at the adjustment that did do. Read the first line of the input to get the numbers of will get drawn for the bingo. The remaining lines represent the bingo board. You should read the input. There are not more lines left. Board. And the last thing before to do the final adjustment, here the breaking point to me looks that it doesn't have this info for split and so on. I'm not planning to run really this program. I'm planning to actually use the the final produced input, and to see when I try from scratch to do such a program, is it going with such a description, would it be able from start to really read the program correctly. But I still think that there is a mistake in the program, and I'm not talking that there's no other mistakes. I'm not sure, probably there are many mistakes, but there is definitely, I think, a mistake when it's splitting the boards, and here we have 30 file of 2, and the difference between them, it's they're separated by 2 empty space. I'm not sure what this strip is doing. I'm not really let's see, do I have here Python? I think I have. Okay, I have Python. If I have this, and I have here 2, and I have here, and I do strip, that removes the leading one, and if I do split, I think that will, again, then it looks like working, because here I was, how is this working? I mean, this okay, then it's I'm wrong. It seems like that so far should be the working solution. Let me test it. With input. From where is getting the input? Oh, the input is not from a file. Missing part. Okay, perfect. I just saw that the input is this input from the standard input? Yeah, it seems like that. by reading the input from a file. Input.text. And let's mark that's my file. Put the text. Adding step that step so that the input is from a file. So that we read the input from a file. Okay. More or less that looks and it's marking with X instead of -1 or so on. What was doing in Go. Okay, so far that's looked quite fine. Let me do that because as I mentioned in previous videos, my main goal is actually to have this information for how ChatGPT to some degree Bing whenever we use it answer my questions and be able to compare it with some other models that are claiming that they're much better in solving all of the problems. I'm not satisfied. Okay, it's cutting the text, but I mean it's still. Let's try again. Beautiful. And with our input okay, the specific implementation seems not to okay, now we can see that the specific implementation it's not splitting the numbers by comma. Okay, let's add in that to our prompt. Yeah, by adding on the first line all integers are separated by comma. Did it add that? Okay, it is correct. Okay, that's more and more promising. Mm-hmm. Here, copying the numbers, it doesn't work, but anyway, answers. Mm-hmm. Python, print. Okay, that's fine. And some other stuff we don't, not interested of that. To me, this one looks more promising, and let's give a try. Yeah, but the file is at the same directory. Is more. Here it has some other problem. Okay, at that moment, 114 on numbers set. It doesn't iterate on the set. I think this method is okay. Let's give a last try for fixing in this part, because unfortunately as you can see from by yourself, it's one moment it's getting really so involved that a person will be better off if simply write such simple programs itself. However, that won't be the case when the program becomes really complicated, albeit that yeah, obviously a person couldn't trust this algorithm, but still can get some ideas of how to structure the problems and so on, and I think it might be helpful in very hard problems from advent of code, but we'll see later. Your description doesn't could you fix yeah, fix point 2 because I'm getting the following error. Okay, after this input, let's see what will give us as output. I will ask to add an information for part 1 and go in another session and try to solve it for this given session. What does it change? Create a number of bars. It doesn't seem so I could change anything in point 2. or does. I think it did. So numbers update. Okay, it changed a little bit the code. I will assume that that's more or less working. I mean, we don't want to have working code because actually will not unfortunately will not help us because of how unreliable the model is. There is with this instruction that the model is thinking that it's following, although it's following them, they've been produced, and after that it's following them, so to say. I mean, if our generates, I mean, might be some bits of truth. They're okay. It's even went out of token size. Mm-hmm. Prompt. Our wasp bit. Uh, Thank you. Oh, I have a little bit change. Then you and now we have our initial requirement, blah blah, at this point, and we want this one, part 2. As for okay, that's our input, and let's give a try. Okay, more or less keep this part with the parts, create set found numbers on the board, iterate over each board and its content to set. You can create empty set. Use the update function. I mean, fortunately it's too specific. For example, suggesting some functions and stuff like that might not work ideally with Go if directly use the token input, but let's see how does it work with beautiful Python. Wrong copied here. And as you can see, we're hitting the token limit because of these descriptions. Okay, so far so good. I will not take with this program. I think that broadly it's okay. Have reading from the file, splitting the drone from the first line, creating cell numbers of boards, iterating, simulating the game, choose last winning board. Once all boards have won, choose the last winning board by finding the board with the highest number. No, we'll have one, choose. No, let me adjust in this one because I think again not work because it's a bit misleading. Choose the last winning board. Once all boards have won, choose the last winning board by finding the board with the highest number that was called. No, it's not the highest number that was called. Is the you need to choose the last board and calculate the score for it. Let me fix in that because it's I mean it's clearly wrong. And as I said, I'm so to say getting more and more familiar with this problem because I've been solving it already with ChatGPT mainly and bit and pieces with Bing a lot of times, and so already can yeah seen a few solutions. Some of them, although they have failures, they were interesting. One of them had stuff that I wasn't thinking of that a person can solve it like that, but anyway, was for code perspective very interesting for me and to see some of the implementation in Go. And to be fair, I'm working with completely different language professionally, not with Go. I'm Elixir developer, and being doing advent of code myself with Go and learning Go, reading some small books for Go, but yeah, definitely not the most familiar with the language person. Still get some interesting ideas. You have to require a little bit change. Point your stake them in point for writing we yeah, how does it? Okay, more or less. Let's give a try as that. I mean, it's not exactly what would we expect, but more or less, let's see how well does it go when we try. I would try once with Python and once with Go using these points. Okay, that's our prompt one. Use the art. Question: could you write for me Python program these instructions? Looking it like that first. Create the set is that yeah, that's another step. Okay, let's try it like that. Python program. Mm-hmm. Again, that's the claim that it's a program following these instructions. Looks quite promising, to be honest. Mm-hmm. Let's try it with the test data first, yeah? No. Okay. It is again having problems with the parsing and so on. It didn't work quite well. Uh, Let me copy this and let me again try once more time with Python, and after that I will continue trying with Go, because I want to give a second chance to the model. Um, at that stage I start thinking that might be more productive simply to try the same input like 10 times instead of start communicating with the model and so on to see if can fix some mistakes, unless you're very satisfied with the solution and there are some very small bits that looks like wrong. I would assume that simply pressing this thing here might be the way to go. And again, this solution. Again, the same kind of mistake. Yeah, directly there's no point to test. I think should simply, yeah, every time it's doing the same failure. Let me try. Okay, I see. uh, which it's not my format, but I won't be surprised if I won't be surprised if this format assumption and so on are like box, simulate the game, blah blah blah. I mean, I was thinking to say that it looks promising, but I mean, on that stage is, I mean, writing random characters. Yeah, crash, I get amazed. Okay, I was fascinated that it did not crash. I already was thinking to, is that a completely different program or not? It's quite similar. It's a bit too much stuff for Python, I was thinking. The main function for me, and please skip the rest. I know about the rest. Yeah, brilliant. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. How much of that? Oh, it still doesn't crash. What was this if check for Python? I remember there was some kind of dodgy logic. Could you exit? Yes. And session domain. I don't know Python, but I remember there is this if check. I see these tokens. I deeply see how OpenAI know how to make money by adding these meaningless comments, and after that charging you. Okay, time to use Bing for that. How could I check if a Python program is code has main and only then to execute? Could you give me example code? I think the create one is the best for that. Let us this prompt, albeit prompt one Bing. What Bing told me. Perfect. Bing, it's so nice. It's exactly what I was thinking about, but unfortunately incapable. 1 second. Happen. Oh, sorry. That was different solution. Think something wrong with not sync my main function. And my main function fails again with this bad description. Mm. Therefore, let's let's could you have me fix it? Did I wrote the prompt elsewhere? Yeah, it was here. For that was not completing. Let's thank you. To Bing. Is it a lot of value in adding this stuff from Bing? I mean, I don't see any value to be honest, but let me paste it. And not topic, not the one. Here's Bing, blah blah blah. Yeah, let's see if doing this one will get something better. Looking at your code, what do you mean? That's like so good from the error message. Actually, that's super good, isn't it? Okay, that's because of strip split. Yeah, the suggestion seems very good. Let's have this answer here because it's good to compare with the future version. And for example, to try it with BART or another models that are claiming to be. This my code can fix it. Yeah, let's be. These stupid comments. These comments are disgusting. Why I'm saying that? Look at this bad boy. And now this comment. Hope that's gone, and now OpenAI make less money. That's gone, and OpenAI is charging you less. That's gone, and OpenAI charging you less. That's gone, OpenAI charging you less. Then especially in Python, here final score, simulate game, and so on. I mean, read input file, read in the input. I mean, it's surely they're very helpful. But yeah, the problem with this command, I probably should do it with Visual Studio. I wanted to give a last try with Bing, giving the code and to see if we would be willing to fix my thing. Popping up, interesting. I like the solution, how it's done. Check row, check column. It is too big, too many comments. Did I break the syntax somewhere? Did I did it here? No, I think that's part of the song. Python. Okay, let's try with this snippet of hot, and yeah, I think we'll end up for. No, I will not end up for today because I want to do. I mean, the input is capped, but let me give a try. Nonetheless. Oh. Okay, now it's not even I ask. I get 3 out of 6, and it doesn't want. I mean, it's refusing to fix. I mean, this output is a little bit useless because I'm using Bing all the time in Adam circumstance, and I mean you can surpass that. For example, when I clear then go to balance, I simply try the 3 models. Usually the precise one it's completely refusing. Okay, it's suggesting that the logic of bingo is a little bit more complicated. It's not only row columns, and I shouldn't be checking for diagonals and so on. Yeah, it's claiming that in. Could you optimize it? Could you have the. Thank you. I mean, it couldn't see even the whole code, but I mean, it's a language model. Avoid unnecessary calculation and representation. Use least comprehension to generate expression instead of full when possible. Okay, I didn't know that for Python. Use appropriate data structure and algorithm for your problem domain. Okay, let's stop playing with this and no, not proper ping. Oh, where new start. I had somewhere new start. Okay, let's try this one. I mean that's so a bit hard to try to trick it and so on. Let's simply paste two of them and see if we'll get something. Okay, it's simply refuse to do that. Input an error. You might want to add some error handling or validation logic to your program to make it more robust and user friendly. I mean, that's very, very true. I mean, this one, I meant to write something. Okay, man. It's it is I got. Mm. Okay, the only one that prompt one Bing and what's the answer? I mean, not that I expect to have fully working program. I mean, is the precise Bing should be 100% correct. I find, yeah, man. Yeah, it's kind of. It's a very concise program. Looks more like a Python thingy. Mm-hmm. Compared to this bloated stuff from here that didn't work, but I wanted to see this bloated stuff here. Bingo game, interesting, and have it like this bingo game. Can I do simply this bingo game? Oh, nice. nice. I think it's amazing. Uh, okay, one more prompt. I'm getting the ink error. Uh, with this input. Uh, mm-hmm. Okay, fix it. Fix it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, it's claiming that it can. Is it capable to fix 3D? I mean, from my exploration, it's significantly more capable than ChatGPT. It's simply the biggest problem is that it's brutally restrict, and it's as everyone can see, you need to go to. Uh, I mean, it's not even to do some kind of hacking or anything. It's simply like um, going and like how to call it. Going and simply yeah, asking every of these three tabs, and one of them it's agreeing to write the program, and yeah, you do that. I mean, it is a bit strange, but it is what it is. It doesn't work either. Okay, I think it doesn't not work. Work. I'm getting at that point. Yeah, I think it's clear that this approach for specifying the stuff and so on is very involving, and yeah, it doesn't seem like the previous one. This one, at least to me, looks the most promising one, in which in the solution and so on they're relatively compact and so on, and you can see here the checks for all and so on. It is, it has a huge potential, but yeah, I mean, as everyone can see, it's not yet there, uh, but nonetheless, at least mm-hmm, that's the response. Mm-hmm. Feeling sorry about that, but as always, all of these videos are mainly to have some data in the future when another model is ready to compare with what I was getting as a result with the different approaches and so on, and now it's cumbersome, but then it might be more useful. And hopefully I put it like that, I think. Should I add in this? I didn't try. I shouldn't. I should give up in one moment on what I'm currently doing, because yeah, I mean, more or less a waste of time. Now I haven't saved it. Yeah, it did not work. Let me ask Bing last thing before to give up on Bing and going with let me check one thing. Yeah, there's such file and it's can open it. I was for a second wondering if there is such a file and if we can open it and so on. The last thing that I want to ask Bing is to give me a better summary on this. That's the then again is on. Could you make this this please or clear? Okay, I think it's good enough. Okay, that's the once final score has been calculated. Yeah, let's read that. I really can see significant improvement compared to ChatGPT. Open the file using function raise first line and split it by commas to get the list of numbers that will be drawn for the bingo game. Brilliant. The remaining lines represent bingos by empty line. Within each block, each line represents a row and contains space-separate number. Read in our remaining lines from the input, blah blah blah. Create an empty set, store all the numbers that appears in bingo board. Simulate the game until all boards have won. In this step you need to simulate drawing numbers for the bingo game until every board has at least one row or a column that's completely marked. Has had all numbers drawn. You can do this by repeatedly drawing numbers from your list of drawn numbers and marking them on each board as their code, by adding them to separate set for each board that wins. Keep track of which number was called when it won. Choose the last winning board. Once all boards have won, choose the last winning board as being whichever one had its winning number called last. Find whichever winning number was highest among all winning boards. No! That's wrong. It's wrong. It's wrong. It's wrong. Ugh. Okay, let's get the outputs. I think it's fine. It is so good. The last thing, because the instructions are the last thing. I've been doing this last thing the last 30 minutes. These instructions are already wrong. I will not attempt the Go program. I will try to do what I already did with ChatGPT, that I asked to summarize this stuff for me. Could you summarize following task? Oh, brilliant! That fits. And part 2. Can I put in part 2? Let's do that. Because I think that's more promising to me. Wow. Which prompt is that? Have that in on the prompt. No, it's the answer, Bing. What have you done, Bing? Absolutely brilliant. And last bit is yeah, I mean, I should start with that. Could you adjust with this my adjust the following change. Tak, tak, tak. Tak, tak, tak. And yeah, I mean, that's my last shot. And I still, and that's the end of our conversation. Okay, now we got the Bing doing our start correctly. Okay. Quite interested. Let's leave Bing on the side. We have this summary from Bing. Now let's go back and try our ChatGPT. This time asking with with prompt one Google or no Google yeah I mean hopefully on the new start to one day we might ask Google, but here when we were using this summary, let's be beast and assume that this summary is perfect. We have question. Could you write me a Python program that solves this task? Mm-hmm. An answer. Let's go. Check board and market numbers. Tak. It seems like import. But from where you get your input? Oh. It's more like generating completely new game. And it's interesting. Let's see. Could you adjust Okay, this failed miserably, but let's adjust a little bit because we don't have this restriction that we have in Bing, and I think we should a little bit patch it to include our input example. Yeah, let's save that, and in the future we'll be thankful to ourselves that we have done that. And the other thing is I don't want these videos to get like 5 hours. I mean, if you've been so far with me, you're very, very patient person. I hope that this kind of exploration somehow help you with something. Nevertheless, they are a bit interesting for me. If not something else. Task and Okay, let's see. If we change that, that's our prompt 1 new start exactly. Task question answer. We are going to I think let's keep Q and I for the answer. Task input. Yeah, let's add this bad boy. Task sample input from a file input text. Okay, that's our new way of asking. Is it going to bring something? It's reading, it's using number of Yeah, so compact program. That's like mind blowing. Is that that's too no, it crash. Okay, it crash. Let's give another try. A little bit brute forcing it. Strip, split, tac. Winning call, winning score, and seems to look about right, but I mean, so far all of them look about right, and none of them actually works whatsoever. List out of range, probably again problems with that. Okay, let's give a last try of this. Check column, check rows. As you can see, every time they generate code, it's very different. You have this with the diagonal and so on, that we want to ignore and so on, but anyway, it doesn't seem to care about our wishes. Have some dead code from where it's reading input. Oh no. Input, okay. It's out of range, it doesn't work really. Let's copy again this version. I have it like example answer. If not anything else, it's yeah, it's getting there. what is thing? The program reads input from blah blah blah. We will not care much for that. And last attempt is prompt one new start 4. This time I will me a Go program. Simply one more time to try with the Go program. Using this one that is this time I will like to try the version that had examples and so on. Yeah, this one. Task, etc. And to hope that will do miracle. Sure, that's the Go. Numbers marked. There's an error. So on. Already a person can see how the the Go code is so much more that and it cannot complete really the program actually in the output. And sad for the Go developers. I think probably should all of us should start writing all this stuff in Haskell to have it compact. Or could you complete the program? Oh man. What is this capping? It doesn't have even comments. It's not like it doesn't have empty spaces and so on. Trying its best to fit it, but yeah, I mean it seems like we'll never overcome the limit of the token size. I think it's because of this efficient checking the same thing 10 times explicitly. Could you write more concise version? Is it like that, concise? That's like the 6 jumping. Yeah, okay, the concise version did it. It was able to fit in this problem. It's not so complicated unfortunately, and already it has it falls to some degree apart. uh, uh, okay, one more thing. There is full error. Mm-hmm. Let me this one. uh, what was my prompt? uh, so could you has more concise, and the answer is mm-hmm. Lovely. Mm. Blah blah blah. Seems like there's phone error. Mm-hmm. And I'm getting some answer. This kind of stuff. Again, I'm putting it here for future me or anyone that want to compare what you get, and I'm planning to stop at that moment. It's not even complete program. Where is the main function? Is it I completed by myself, a little bit cheating? But let's see if I grab this one, my fake solution. Nice. Hop. And false. I mean, and input invalid input format. Mm-hmm. With capacity and so on. Yeah, it does not work. Okay, I think for the time being that's enough of trying this stuff. Actually, it seems it's making failure in summarizing. It's making uh, it's not being able correctly to extract the information, and after that to write a program based on that. Actually, yeah, it doesn't seems like a good idea. probably the initial approach with having the previous day, the previous task, and simply asking to adjust a little bit to that end up to be the best working approach. Yeah, we'll stop with these videos that are revisiting this task because I'm running out of ideas. What else can I try? Mm, but anyway, thank you for your attention, and hope that you get something useful from these videos that were mainly trying different stuff. As I said, simply to summarize, I already tried with me correcting the code itself after this kind of structured solutions with having the initial prompt including the first task, the first working solution, and after that asking for the second part and having it a little bit adjusted. Second revision, which again with my helped me to solve the problem by having part 1 with the answer and putting part 2 without having the code for part 1 and asking for a solution for that. It seems to work as good as having the initial version from part 1. Approaches that didn't work or work as good as this one were to ask for in the second way, but this time with much more information, actually accounting for all the mistakes that previously been done, and that seems to work exactly as good as not having that. The next approach that I tried is simply to ask to do that in Python. It didn't produce better results. Now I tried that with combination between Python with the half at the end to translate working solution of Python to Go, and instead of me having the input using ChatGPT to do a summary of the task, a little bit correcting this summary is points and so on. It didn't seems to work any more reliable anyway, and in overall it seems most of these approaches are part of the one that you give the previous part solution, or having the specified the task as one and giving the answer, and after that having what to adjust as end of the task. These two work exactly as well as probably every other one, and with that I'm going to stop this revision and continue with day 5. Thank you for your attention, and see you in the next video.